Hello there, students. Thank you for joining me for this presentation. Today we're looking at U.S. history, and we're actually looking at Unit 2, the foundations of the United States, and we're looking at tutorial, the Enlightenment and Great Awakening. Please remember that it is a requirement for you to have a notebook so that you can be taking notes as you're reviewing these tutorials, because those notes will help you when it comes time to doing your unit activity, as well as taking any of the many tests that you will encounter in this class. And the objective for today is that you will analyze the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening. We are now on page 5 of the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening tutorial, and this is your first lesson activity. And basically on this lesson activity, you have to use your notes already and any prior knowledge that you may have. And it is who is enlightened. Let's go over the directions so that you will know what to do here. Read the instructions for this self-check activity, type in your response to each question, and check your answers. At the end of the activity, write a brief evaluation of your work. Activity. In this activity, you will learn about enlightenment. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines enlightened as a being free from ignorance and misinformation. What do you think being enlightened is? Can you think of anyone who you consider enlightened? Your response should include at least 2 sentences. Please make sure that you provide a good response here. I know you're being asked to write down at least 2 sentences, but let's put it this way. Let's write at least 1 full paragraph, which would be at least 5 sentences. And look at the definition. That's why, anywhere basically on the internet, look at the definition, give us the definition, and then answer the questions. What do you think we mean by being enlightenment? Can you think of anyone who you consider enlightenment? Maybe your teacher, maybe your dad, maybe your mom, maybe your best friend, whoever you think. Just write it down and provide an explanation as to why. Let's move on. We are now on page 15, the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening, and this is another lesson activity. And this is about Benjamin Franklin. Let's go over so that you'll know what to do here. Read the instructions for this self-check activity, type in your response to each question, and check your answers. At the end of the activity, write a brief evaluation of your work. Activity. In this activity, you will perform an online research to know more about the life and accomplishment of Benjamin Franklin, and then answer these questions. Part A. What was the significance and lasting impact of the Junto, Benjamin Franklin discussion group? Make sure that you are able to research online. Make sure that you are able to find relevant information to what you're being asked, and make sure you give us a good paragraph here. Benjamin Franklin has a lot of history. He is one of those founding fathers of the United States, and you should be able to provide here a good paragraph. Let's move on to the second question, part B. What was Benjamin Franklin best known for as a scientist? Again, you're doing online research and you should be able to find plenty of information about this. Give us a good paragraph here. This means at least 5 solid sentences, and you shouldn't have a lot of trouble actually finding information about Benjamin Franklin. Part C. How did Europeans perceive Benjamin Franklin in the 18th century? Europeans knew Benjamin Franklin, and for good reasons. So you need to provide an explanation. How did Europeans view him? How did England view him? How did France view him? And provide a good paragraph here. This way you are letting your teacher know that you are doing your job researching online about Benjamin Franklin. Let's move on. We are now on page 23, the Enlightenment and Great Awakening tutorial, and this is your lesson activity, which is Revivalist Preachers. And let's see what you're being asked to do here. Let's go over to the activity portion, because this is where you're going to find what you need to do. All right, activity. In this activity, you will read some sermons given by George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards. Then write an essay, at least 150 words long, comparing the 2 preachers in terms of the content and the intent of their sermons. Again, these are your links right here. These are your 2 links that you need to go and review. Take notes on the links. Take notes on the information about George Whitefield, and the same thing for Jonathan Edwards. Once you have those notes, just give us an essay here. It's telling you to write at least 150 words. This has the potential of being actually 2 solid paragraphs. Make sure that you provide that, at least 2 paragraphs, but we're actually looking for 3, which is an introduction, body paragraph, and a conclusion. Make sure that you're being thorough on all of your explanations. Make sure that you're providing as much information as you can. Let's move on. We are now on page 31, the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening tutorial. And this is a fairly simple activity. All you're doing is you're basically moving these tiles down here into the area that they correspond in this box. You have 3 divisions here. You have the Enlightenment, you have Enlightenment and Great Awakening, and you have Great Awakening. What you do is you will grab whichever tile corresponds to each area, and you will basically put it right here. For example, Benjamin Franklin, I will put it there. And then obviously you can move around all of these tiles wherever you feel they belong. And once you have all of them correct, you should be able to move on to the next parts of the tutorial. Let's move on. We are now finally on page 34, the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening tutorial. And this is another lesson activity, and it's the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening. And let's go over here to the activity part, and this is where we will know what to do. In this activity, you will write an essay that is at least 200 words long, comparing and contrasting Enlightenment and the Great Awakening. In your answer, include the main concept of both movements and show how each movement influenced American colonists. Please make sure that you know, first of all, you know what the Enlightenment is, and secondly, that you know what the Great Awakening was. And you should know by now, because you should have gone through the entire tutorial by this time, and you should be able to provide a good solid essay here to address the question. Make sure that you explain how each of the movements work, and how the Great Awakening basically impacted the American colonists. What happened? What did it bring upon them? Did it make them more aware that they needed to be free? Did it make them more aware that they had to follow religion? I don't know. You tell me. Make sure you provide, I would say, at least a 3-paragraph essay, which means an introduction, a body paragraph, and a conclusion. Make sure that you put your best effort here, as your teacher will give you the best grade possible if you do that. And thank you for being part of this presentation. I will see you in the next tutorials.